So here's the first work saver technique.
Yeah.
You ready for this one,
Yeah,
Mike?
I'm ready.
Reduce the racket.
Reduce the racket. So you work with tennis players, or
Yeah, people have been in jail.
Yeah, yeah.
Reduce the racket, put them in jail.
Yeah.
Here's what reduce the racket really means.
Okay.
The average person is subjected to something over 3,000 commercial messages a day.
Okay, and I'm receiving them on TV, by radio, on the net, on YouTube, on trucks,
on car signs, taxi cabs, vanity plates.
Okay.
You know, YouTube, you name it. It's everywhere.
Okay.
So here's
the thing
problem.
I always found, when the guy had the license plate that says "Buy Me," I never knew who he was. So
yeah, why would you do that?
Yeah, it wouldn't be productive. Okay.
So here's the problem. The average sales interaction, we're going to take it down to the micro level,
good.
just simply takes too long. And here's why it takes too long.
Okay.
Slightly less than 81% of the salespeople that we studied talk more than what is necessary in the sale. In fact, it was 80.8%.
Okay.
Talked entirely too much.
So it's almost the 80-20 rule backwards.
Then we went and we said to decision makers, okay, let's talk about the behavioral traits that really go all over you.
Okay.
What do you think is something that is pervasive and annoying? What do you think they said?
They talk too much?
They talk too much. And the research that we did said 81% of the time they are talking too much. Then we asked decision makers another interesting question. What kind of person talks too much?
And I would guess they said either probably salesmen or attorneys.
Here's what they said. They said that 62% of the decision makers told us that salespeople, salesmen, saleswomen, salespeople, talk too much.
But here's the thing that I think is so important for this. Even though they talk too much, they're willing to listen to some of them because they do need the help they provide.
It's a great testimony that we have products and services that people need. Otherwise, they wouldn't even bother to listen to them.
So as miserable as they think this is, they're still willing to give us a shot, to a point.
To a point. Except today, in today's marketplace, you've got 3 or 4 factors. It's more competitive. They have more choices.
Yes.
They have less tolerance.
Yes.
Okay? And so consequently, they're not going to continue putting up with this yapping. The term that I use a lot is succinct persuasion.
So that would be an oxymoron, yes?
It's an oxymoron.
Okay,
how can you say something very clearly, very articulately? How can you communicate it with the fewest amount of words?
Okay. So we have to have time management of our actual words?
Of our actual words.
Okay.
So let me give you the real technique.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay? Go through your regular presentation. Do it mentally.
Sure.
And try to cut out at least 20 to 25% of the words you say, the actual words. Get rid of them. They're not going to give you or the decision maker any advantage because all they do is create racket.
So as eloquent or as flowery as I think I am, they're just sitting there going blah, 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 get to the point?
Absolutely.
Give me what I want, what I need?
Let me show you what to eliminate.
Okay.
3 things.
Yeah.
First,
go ahead.
Extensive summaries of the decision maker's needs.
Oh, now that you've told me everything that you want, I'm going to tell you everything that you want, and then we're going to tell you how you're going to meet that.
Yes.
And he already knows what he told me, and hopefully I'm smart enough to understand that.
You hit it right on the head. Is that stupid or what?
It is.
You've managed some salespeople, haven't you? Okay? So here's what happens. They may have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things they're interested in.
Yes.
You only want to mention 1 as your center point, and at the most 3.
Absolutely.
Because the rest of it is all white noise.
Because I'd imagine they don't remember a lot of, I mean, they're seeing
what it
people
was
on a daily basis and confusing it, and we all look alike and sound alike.
The second thing to do is to avoid what we call unnecessary explanations.
Which would be what?
Which would be try to avoid your own jargon. Well, this is an X94 752P.
Yes.
Let me tell you what that does. What you want to do is you say, we can solve your problem about this with this product, and let me show you how it works.
Yes.
See,
I don't care what the number is. I want to know, is this the one that does my job?
The third is wordy explanations. Don't have too many words in the explanation. Whereas in opposition to the aforementioned, I would like to reaffirm my position, as you mentioned before, because what happens is they get lost in the verbiage.
Well, sometimes I've found salespeople, because they're nervous, because they don't really know their product, have a tendency to say more.
Here's the trick. In today's world, less is more and more is less.
Less is more and more is less. Okay.
Okay, let's take a look at the next work saver technique.
Okay.
Okay, what is it?
Hard closes.
Yeah. Walk away from hard closing at all costs.
But hard closing is one of the most fun things that you see at sales meetings. I remember learning a long time ago the Sir Walter Raleigh close. That's when you blew cigarette smoke in their face until they gave you the order. Is that what we're talking about with hard closes?
We're talking about either the technique of multiple hard closing,
okay,
or this thing of we won't take no for an answer.
So we keep lobbing in a shell until you spit up an order. So we keep lobbing the shell,
and then ultimately somebody will
cough up an order.
Up. Now, here's what the problem is. More time is taken or eaten up by hard closes than almost any other sales tactic.
How come?
Listen to this one.
Okay.
Of the decision makers that we observed being subjected to a hard close,
yeah,
between 2 and 4% actually made a purchase.
So people have heard hard closes their entire life. In their in personal life, where somebody, you've got to buy it today.
So they say,
they know what it is.
What's coming now?
Yeah. So if this is a professional deal, why are you doing this stuff to me?
Why are you doing all this
You're
stuff?
handling me.
Yeah. I'm an executive. I'm in business.
Yeah, right.
And you're coming to me and say, okay, what do we have to do to get started? Or would you prefer it in red or green? Would you like me to set you up for Tuesday or Thursday? You know, what do we have to do this? Ben Franklin close. I mean, somebody's sitting there, the oblique angle close, the impending doom close.
I went to buy a car one time, and the car salesman and I drove around. I asked the car salesman 3 questions. He could not answer any of those questions. We pulled into the parking lot, and he went right into the close, and he looked at me and he said, Mike, I don't see any reason why we can't do a deal right now. And I said, I got a couple. And he said, what are they? I said, well, first of all, you don't know what you're talking about, and second of all, you're an idiot.
I had a young lady come to see me one time trying to sell collection services. Now, we're strictly business to business. We don't need collection services.
Right. Yeah.
And she had a flip chart.
So, wait a minute, all of your customers pay on time? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, they do, some of them. But we don't have to go collecting money from them.
Sure.
And here's the interesting thing. She had this flip chart, and she kept going through the flip chart. And 3 times she said to me, if everything looks acceptable, is there any reason why we couldn't get started today?
Yes.
Now, I know exactly where she got that. I know the trainer that gave it to him.
Okay.
I mean, I'm telling you, she spent so much of her time trying to bang the close that she never got there.
Right.
Now, what happens with this 2 to 4% situation?
Yeah.
70% of those who did buy had buyer's remorse to such a degree that the order was canceled.
So they simply said yes to get the person out of there, almost like when people on the telephone will tell people they're going to give to a charity. Unfortunately, the charities don't get all the people that say they were going to pledge.
Same thing.
It's an easy no.
Great observation. Here's the bottom line, Mike. If you have to grind a decision maker in a business-to-business sale, in order to make a sale, it's not worth your time and effort.
If I haven't put together a compelling enough argument to convince them that they want it, I should walk away.
The mistake that you make is at the beginning.
What do you mean at the beginning? I'm closing at the beginning?
You're closing at the beginning, or more importantly, you don't have information, you haven't developed trust, they don't believe you, you haven't asked the right questions, you haven't created value, you haven't corroborated your claims.
So I'm trying to close myself out of not being prepared for the call.
Yes. So what happens is I'll keep banging and banging and banging. So I'm going to give you an interesting sales management strategy for salespeople. You ready for this one?
Sure.
You know the secret to all this? Walk away. Because it's counterproductive.
I'm just digging a hole. I want to kind of lessen the load here.
Yeah, and you may want to say something like, it looks like we're not able to come together on this at this point. I can fully understand that. What I'd like to do is to perhaps get back in touch with you on Tuesday, or would Wednesday be better? Would you like to have a little bit more time? And you know what you then do, Mike? You move on to somebody else.
Right. And you might get lucky. They could call you back.
They might.
But you might have made 3 more sales.
Yes.
Going to the right people.